I might be a prophet of the Most High God. Welcome to episode number 360 of the Dime Devotional. I like that, 360. 360 episodes of the Dime Devotional, which stands for daily inspiration, motivation, and exhortation. I am dropping dimes at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Check out the website, briankey360.com, but also check out that blog, imightbeaprophet.com. Tonight's episode is part 4 of three big business mistakes. So I talk about business from a very unique perspective. I talk about it from the perspective of experience. Now, I've tried to read the books. I've tried to align myself with the theories of the day. But unfortunately, those don't coincide with my experience. It's not what I've seen firsthand. And so I feel, and I shouldn't say feel, for me it becomes an integrity issue. It's a character thing. I can't give you information that I personally don't believe. I can't give you information that I personally have not experienced. So I'm not interested in having a conversation about business based on the hypothetical, based on the theory, what we believe to be the case. And so when you consider that most of the popular business books of the day are less than 40 years old, less than 50 years old, they're less than 100 years old, one has to question, how do you know that this wisdom is actually going to produce the results you want to produce? Are we confusing popular with potency? Let me say the word correctly. Are we confusing something that's popular with something that's potent? Let me tell you what I'd rather have. I'd rather have someone give me their experiences and what they learned from their experience than for that person to give me a hypothetical, give me philosophical information. Just because it says or it sounds good from a philosophical perspective, just because the philosophy is good, or if it sounds good, that doesn't make it good. In fact, I had this thought earlier because many will say, okay, I've been in business for 10 years. But what they've actually been is they had a part-time business. They had a side hustle for 10 years. And please understand, I'm not knocking your side hustle. But it's hard for me to take full-time information to apply toward my business that is based on a part-time experience. It's hard for me to accept something that you are seeing or experiencing based on popular opinion, based on the rules of the day, based on something you got out of a book. So it's very difficult for me to accept that as real, especially when that information does not coincide with my experience. So when I'm articulating a perspective on business, it is coming exclusively from the perspective of experience. And generally speaking, I have a story that backs up. I have an experience that backs up why that principle is important to me. So we're talking about part number 4 of 3 big business mistakes. So let's just get right into it. So the one I want to talk about tonight, I got 3, and I want to talk about 3 more this evening. So let's start with number 1. We're going to call it failing to solve the customer's real problem. And then maybe hashtag be accountable to yourself. So what do I mean by that? There is a difference between what the customer wants and what the customer needs. As the expert in the room, as the expert on the phone, as the expert online, you have to assess the difference. When a customer has an unrealistic expectation, it is your job to educate them on the scope of your products, your services, and your ideas. So let me explain. There are several thousand scenarios that can manifest or occur when, and really most of them are outside of your control, let's be honest. But there are thousands of scenarios that can occur. For me, this is my personal opinion. I'm not asking you to adopt this, but if you don't adopt this, I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to have a better business than you. So please feel free not to adopt it, but I'm always going to recognize the buck stops with me. The buck stops with me. Accountability stops with me. I have to hold myself accountable in business. When I miss the mark, when I've missed the mark, and you will miss the mark in service, this is an opportunity for me to learn and to hold myself accountable. See, they say this. If you have children, you probably recognize a lesson taught is not the same as a lesson bought. So so in business, it's the same way. When you have skin in the game, when it costs you something, when the customer is unpleased, and it wasn't necessarily your fault, but it is your responsibility. There's a distinction between the two. Fault versus responsibility. You could let the customer take the loss. It's okay. You can do that if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because that's for me to know and for them to find out. That's for me to know. I should have known this particular, I couldn't have known it any other way. I had to go through the experience, but now that I know what's wrong. So let me give you, hold on one second. I'll give you an example in just a minute. Let me give another idea out and then I'll give you an experience as to what I mean by that. Okay, so there are thousands of scenarios, I said that can occur and many exist outside of your control. For me, the buck stops with me. So if it's a challenge for me to learn, and that learning may come with a cost, but that's the lesson I won't forget. So if there are 3 considerations when the outcomes for your customers are missed. There are 3 considerations. It's not just one. I want to make sure you're clear. There are 3 things you want to think about when you disappoint a customer. And so that's one of them. First, there's the customer's disappointment. There's their money, and then there's time. So let me say it again. There is the disappointment the customer expresses as it relates to you. There's the money, the loss of money as it relates to you. And then there's the loss of time as it relates to you, because now they got to go do this all over again with someone else, or you got to come back and make it right, or you got to ship it out again. So there's something that involves them wasting their time. The disappointment can be overcome by professionalism. If you own it, you can overcome the disappointment, but you have to own it. You can't ever, I can't tell you how many times here in the last several months, the consumer, me, was blamed by the particular company. So oh my goodness, I tried to do a bill pay with my bank. I won't say the bank's name. And there is a feature where you click a button and it says this payment will be there by this particular date. The only reason why I made the payment was because they told me they can have it there by that particular date. So I get a notice from my electric company. No, actually it was a water bill. I got a notice from the water bill saying that they hadn't received payment. And I'm like, payment? Wait a minute. I'm scratching my head and I'm tripping out a little bit. So I say, wait a minute, let me look into it. I go into the bank and what they did was they paid it a day late. It got there 1 day late. So there was a late fee connected to it. So I reached out to the customer service people and said, hey, this bill was late. You know what they told me? You know what my bank told me? My bank told me, they told me this. They said, look, you got to start paying your bills with enough time for them to make it on time. And I'm like, really? That's the answer? Your answer is my fault. You got to send your payments out in enough time for them to reach the place by the time they need to get there. I'm like, you told me, you told me that if I sent it today, that you could get it there by then. But what they did was they lost any future business for me. Did I close my account? No, but there's nothing else they can do for me. Why? Because they blame me for the outcome. It was their mistake. They should have owned up to it. If they would have owned up to it, it would have changed the entire perspective. So the customer's disappointment, money, and time is always on your mind. The disappointment can be overcome by professionalism or just really owning the outcome, owning the situation. You know, you can apologize for the situation, but not apologize to the person. So let me give you an example. Ma'am, I want to apologize for the discomfort. I want to apologize for the time this is wasted. I want to apologize for the embarrassment. We're here to fix it. We're here to get it right. And we're here to make sure that you have no reason to walk away from this interaction still upset. Now, did I personally take responsibility for, did I say I was sorry to her? Was it my personal bad? Was it my personal mistake that made? No. I wasn't sorry for what I did per se. I was more sorry for the outcome. So there's a way that you can apologize. There's a way that you can own it where we can focus on the situation and I don't have to be demeaned or demoralized, and nor does the customer. So I don't have to become less than simply because we made a mistake. Let me stand up and fix the problem at hand. The money can be returned. So the professionalism can overcome the disappointment. The money can be returned, but the time can never be repaid. They can never get that time back. This must be addressed with sincere remorse, So the only way that you're going to overcome wasting a person's time is if they believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. So let me give you an example. I'll call it the poor stain and the rich stain example. So if you listened before, I had a carpet rug and upholstery cleaning business for, let's just say 11 years, 10 months, 10 days, 10 months, 10 years, 10 months, 10 days. And having that business, there would be stains sometimes, right? Specifically red stains. Red stains are harder to come out for whatever reason. In fact, it was 3 stains, red, yellows, and blues. Specifically stains that came from anything that had a dye in it. Those stains were very difficult to come out when we were talking about nylon carpeting. So they had to come out with using a heat transfer method. And you had about a 50-50 chance of them coming out. So what I started to do was, because most of my customers weren't necessarily millionaires, initially when I got into business, I started to give the customer step by step. I would let them know I can do it, but I can't guarantee the outcome. And of course, if I attempt the process, there will be a charge associated with it. And so many times when I would explain to them, number one, what the expectations were, number two, what the outcomes could be, and number three, the actual process. So instead of giving them, I would give them an option. Hey, I can do it, but it's going to cost you, but I can't guarantee it. But then I would give them a procedure as to how they could get it out themselves. Now that worked with people who had a certain amount of means, but I remember one customer. I remember one instance, and I was in a home. This customer was very well off. Very well off. In fact, he was renting a home because he had a client in our area, but he was renting a home, watch this, in the most exclusive zip code in DFW, maybe Texas, but the most exclusive DFW zip code. He was renting a house there. So clearly money was not a concern for him. So as I'm going through, and I did this by default, as I'm going through, because I've been so accustomed to speaking to different people, I don't want to call it class, but a different income of people, I started to go into my spiel about, hey, I can do it, 50-50 outcome. However, this is what you can do to get it out. You should have seen... You should have seen the look on this man's face. The look on his face was like, I didn't call you to tell me how to do it. I called you to do it. That's what I called you for. So at that moment, I realized that that particular customer didn't value, because every customer values something different, right? Sometimes customers value convenience. Sometimes they value cost. Sometimes they value time. Right? Let me say that again. Sometimes they value convenience. They want you to get it done. They want you to get it done right now. Sometimes they value cost. They want the price to be right. And then others are valued at, or they value time. I need to get this done right now, and I don't have whatever it costs. Charge me that because I don't have time to do this again. He was that third category of a customer, and I completely blew it. I misread the cues. I didn't see it. I was thinking based on the way my other customers see the main customer. I'll say 75, 80, maybe even 90% of the customers that I would explain that to would have been at that particular point in my career or my business. They would have accepted that information and would have been thankful. He just saved me some time and some energy. Not him. He was like, why are you wasting my time? You should have seen his face. It was like, I wish I could describe it. It was like, all the life just drained out of his face. Are you kidding me right now? Why did I call you? Why did I call you if you cannot at least attempt to get this red stain out of my carpet? And I learned a valuable lesson. That it was written all over his face. I learned a valuable lesson that day. I can't apply this cookie cutter method of customer service to every person. I got to focus. I got to know, is it convenience? Is it money? Is it time? What's important to them? What's the most important thing to them? And so I learned a valuable lesson about solving the customer's problem, because in that instance, I didn't solve his problem. I blew it. I didn't solve his problem. He asked me to do something and I didn't solve his problem. I solved the problem that I thought he had. I solved the problem I thought he had, which was not wasting his money. That wasn't a concern to him. He had more money than he had time. Please catch that. He had more money than he had time. So anytime someone wasting his time, you were wasting his money. You got to just catch that. You got to know, what does your customer want? And just because this is the way you see it doesn't mean that's the way it is. Number two, we're talking about 3 big business mistakes. So point number 2 is this one: knowing when to say no. Knowing when to say no. This is a This is a good one. So maybe as a sidebar to that one, you are a specialist and not a generalist. You do what you do at a high level. You do what you do and you specialize in this. You can't do everything for everyone. So I remember meeting a customer not long ago, and he was an extraordinary baker. But he wasn't just a baker. He was actually a wedding cake. I don't know if I want to call him a sculptor. I don't know if I want to call him an artist. I don't want to call him I don't know what he was, but he created these outrageous wedding cakes. I mean, these wedding cakes were beyond wedding cakes. So if you were to call him and say, hey, can you bake me a cake? You would be wasting your time. He didn't make just cakes. He made extraordinary, luxurious, and lavish wedding cakes. His cakes were $2,000 and they were worth every penny of it. I couldn't have said that until I saw his work. I couldn't have said it until I saw his work. This guy, his cakes were whimsical. His cakes were an experience unto themselves. His cakes were, you would take a picture with the cake because the cake was so amazing. He was not in the cake making business. You understand? He was in the wedding cake making business, which are two different things. One is a generalist and one is a specialist. So he could make you a cake for your daughter's birthday, but that is far below his specialty. That is far below his skill set. So I'm asking you, you got to know when to say no. He has to say no to the daughter's birthday cake because that's not what he does. Number one, they can't pay him enough. It's going to be $2,000. For your daughter's wedding cake. The person will say, wait a minute, that's too much money. It's a conversation he can't have because you can't go back and forth sometimes with some people about what you do and why you do it. You charge what you charge. It costs what it costs. You don't have to justify your prices to people. Those are not your customers. But yet they're probably customers, but they're not your clients. Those are not the people that you are appealing to. So why? Because you are a specialist and not a generalist. Knowing when to say no. There is always the pressure to perform well for the customer and to exceed their expectations. This is true until you cross one of four lines. Please hear this. That which is unprofitable, that which is unethical, that which is illegal, and that which is immoral. Unprofitable in business is a sin unless you are righting a wrong, unless it was that situation I just talked about where you missed the mark, you were solving a problem, you didn't solve the problem. In that case, you need to go out of your way to make sure you take care of that customer and make them whole. You wasted their time. Make them whole. Do your best. So in that case, that's okay to be unprofitable. But in general, a general sale is not okay. Unprofitable in business is a sin unless you are righting a wrong. Unethical behaviors. For or against one today can be reversed in the future. If you will lie for them, you are capable of lying to them. Just keep that in mind. You may feel pressure to be less than honest. You may feel pressure to do something a little bit under the table, to cut a corner and maybe not do it the way they're supposed to do it because they are pressed for time, because they don't have the money, because they are trying to accomplish something. This is what I remember experiencing most often. I would get a call from someone to clean carpet in a home that they were leasing. They were looking to try to get their deposit back from the owner. So they would say to me things like, that carpet was looking like this before. What do you think? So they were trying to get me to say something or to put something in writing that gave them justification for why this carpet looked the way it looked. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Now, if that means I don't get your business, if that means I got to walk out of here right now, I'm fine with that. But what I'm not going to do is lie to you or lie for you, because at some point, let's be honest, if I would lie for you, I'll lie to you. So I just was in the habit of not lying. I just don't steal. You don't have to worry about, I would never steal from you. No. You missed it. You misunderstood what I just said. I don't steal, period. It's a core value of mine. So I don't lie, period. So it's not a matter of me not lying for you. It's a matter of I don't lie as a core value of my business. Illegal actions are not worth the short-term gains. What you sow is what you reap. I hope that's simple. Illegal actions are not worth the short-term gains. What you sow is what you will reap. I hope that's simple. Let's go to morality. Morality, this is different. Morality is a slippery slope. You got to seek the high ground in your business practices. So in other words, think about the person who has the strictest, most elevated concerns about their business and create a package that works for them. If you focus on making sure what you do meets the standards of the most strictest of consumers or customers or clients, then you can realize, or you can probably be rest assured that everyone else can fit in. Does that make sense? So make sure that the morality thing is, and of course, you always avoid three conversations. What? Religion, politics, and I can't think of the third one, but always maybe finances, but it's politics, religion, and maybe sex. Avoid those three conversations, and because you want to keep it professional anyway. But the morality is a slippery slope. Always seek the high ground in your business practices, but leave your judgments. Here's the point. Leave your judgments outside of the interaction. Stick to the missions at hand. Leave your judgments outside of the interaction and stick to the mission at hand. It's not for you to approve or disapprove of a person's lifestyle. I had many people of varying lifestyles, and they were all my customers. Why? Because I was there to serve. You are a human. You have a heart. I don't have to agree with you to agree with you. Write that down. I don't have to agree with you to agree with you. I don't have to agree with your lifestyle to agree with you. I can love you. I can love you. We can have great interactions. We can have a great time regardless if we see everything eye to eye. So let's focus on not the 5% that we disagree on. Let's focus on the 95% that we agree about, the 90% that we have in common, the 80% that we see just the same, the 50% that we both believe. Let's focus on what we do believe and do agree with, and not on what we see differently. And so let me tell you a story about some of the commercial chaos story. I didn't do commercial business, and I didn't do it for three reasons, right? So I had some, and don't get me wrong, I always have a reason for why I don't do something or I do something. So the commercial business, so I did mostly residential. I love residential because you get paid right now. I love residential because there was a immediate, I call it dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. You get the immediate reaction from the customer to say, yes, you did a great job. So I really enjoyed that. I also like the short spurts of it. So there was a point of beginning and a point in the end, and I didn't want to work overnight. And so anyway, the reason why I didn't do a ton of commercial work was because you had to do it overnight. You had to do it when the business closed. So you're working all night. You're working in the wee hours of the morning. Number two is usually they wanted, because of the volume, because of the amount of work, they usually wanted this really deep discount. So I really wasn't a fan of that. I didn't do commercial for those three reasons, or two so far. And I'll tell you the third. So the first one was, again, the hours, the times, the shifts. The second one was the deep discount. Not a fan of deep discount, but the third one was the deal breaker for me. The deal breaker for me on commercial business, and I'm speaking of commercial carpet cleaning, you have to make sure you make the right decisions for you. But the thing I didn't like about commercial was 90 days net, 120 days net. What is that? They will wait 90 days, 60, 30, 90 days, 120 days before they pay the invoice that's in your hand. No. I don't want to do the work in January and not get paid till May. I don't want to do that. That is not fun for me. That is a terrible way to sustain a business. So no, I didn't do a lot of commercial business. And again, the point that I was trying to make there, knowing when to say no. I knew this was a great opportunity, but I had to say no, not because of the opportunity. I had to say no because of the hours. I had to say no because of the money. It wasn't great money. And I had to say no because I didn't want to wait 5 months to get paid. Let me tell you a story. So I got a call once to go out and do an estimate, and I never, see, it was one thing to do commercial work, but there was another thing to do commercial work for subcontracting for another commercial company. So let me try to say that again, because I don't think I was clear. So if the business owner called me, if the business called me and I did the work directly for the business, that's one thing that can work out. But if I got a call from a third party that was handling the business, so for example, they were a janitorial company and they managed all of these accounts. And so in order to get the business with, it was a bridal company that I went at. It was a 10,000 square foot building. The building was 100 feet by 100 feet. And he said to me, I want you to go out and I want you to get us a quote to clean the building. And I was excited because I'm thinking, oh, commercial business. Everybody wants to be in the commercial business. So I'm excited. Did all the life come out of my face just now? Oh my God. I go to the building. So not only do they want the carpet cleaned for, I think they were saying they were willing to pay like $250 for like 1,000 square feet. No, 10,000 square feet. Are you serious? No way. No, 10,000. No, there's no way I'm doing 10,000 square feet for $250. It's not going to happen. Sorry. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So sorry. And then they also wanted something to be done because this was a wedding dress business. I can't remember the name of it, and they probably shouldn't say it anyway. But they wanted something to go around each of the dresses to make sure the dresses didn't get wet. I'm like, nah, you guys are crazy. So not only are you not paying enough for the job, it has to be done at night. I got to wait 5 months to get it. But you also want an extra layer of difficulty added to it. No. And I had enough sense, even though this would have been a great opportunity to start doing work for that company, I had enough concern about myself. I had enough integrity about myself. I had enough belief in myself to know that was a bad deal. Know when to say no. Know when to say no. I think I got that one. Oh, so last but not least. Refuse to live with a limited vision or casting your net too small. Refuse to live, refuse to focus, refuse to have a small, limited vision for your business and to cast your net too small. Now, this may be controversial, but this is true. This is true. Everything I'm telling you is true. This is what I did and not what I thought. So this is what I did. I never looked at my business as an African-American business, though I'm African-American. I never looked at my business as a Christian business, though I'm Christian. I never looked at it as a Southern business, though I'm Southern. I never looked at it as a Texan business, though I'm from Texas, or male, or anything else, or cater to anything that one may want to pigeonhole or characterize my business as. I didn't want to be limited by that. Right? So let me tell you why. The limitations of the people or the culture around you is not your floor, the bottom, or your ceiling, the top. The limitations of the culture around you is not your floor or your ceiling, simply because you want me to behave as an African American business, as a black business. I'm not limited to that. God has given me your ethnos is limiting your ethnos, and your ethos is limiting your cosmos. My gift is for the world. It's not just for people who look like me. It's not for just people who think like me. It's not for the people who are close to me. My gift is for whomever appreciates my gift, whoever needs my gift. That's who my gift is for. The limitations of people or culture around you is not your floor or your ceiling. Let the gift take you where it takes you. Refuse to designate who gets it and who will ultimately appreciate your gift. Let me say that again. The limitation of the people or the culture around you is not your floor nor your ceiling. Let the gift take you where it takes you. Refuse to designate who gets it and who can ultimately appreciate it. This is what I'm saying. There's scripture on that. Let me back it up with scripture. A man that masters his craft. The scripture, Proverbs 22 and 29 says this. Do you see a man skilled in his work? He will be stationed in the presence of kings. He will not stand before obscure men. So according to the scripture, what my job is to do is to master my craft. What my job is to do is to master my gift. What my job to do is to be the best at what I do. And because I'm the best at what I do, the doors will open for me. And whatever those doors are the doors I walk through. I'm not going to limit my gift. Hear what I'm saying? I'm not going to limit my gift to people who look like me or think like me. My gift is for the world. I'm not called to just people who look like me and think like me. I'm called to the world. And if you're robbing the world of your gift, how can I describe it? Let's assume you say that your business is a black business, and I respect you if you do. I respect you if you do, but just look at it from a strategic perspective. Now, if you have a skincare product, that makes sense. If you have a hair care product, again, that makes sense because skin and hair is different. But if you say, I don't know, soap, if you sell, if you have an Airbnb, if you have a carpet cleaning business, that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It's not, because it's not texture or skin driven. That's a preference. Let's be honest. That's a preference. Why are you going to limit in that case? And I'm speaking to people who look like me. This may make you unpopular. You might want to take my African American card from me after I say this. But what logic does it mean? How logical is it to create a business that only serves 13% of the population? How logical is that? There's 100% of the population in your purview, but you're going to limit the people who can have access to what you do to only 13% of that. Are you serious? Do you want to be successful, or are you trying to do, what are you trying to do? You want to create a business that whoever appreciates your gift, your talent, your abilities, and your skills. Do you see a man skilled in his work? He will be stationed in the presence of kings. He will not stand before obscure men. And I believe that sometimes, and hear me well, don't be offended, hear me well. I believe sometimes we allow culture, we allow the people around us, we allow personal opinions of people who love us, who want the best for us, but those people are not God. And they're dictating to us. They've created an environment where they make you feel bad for being what God made you. Come on, hear what I'm saying. They make you feel bad for allowing you. They make you feel bad for flowing in the gift that God has given you. Whatever doors are open because of the gift that God has given you, according to this scripture, Proverbs 22 and 29, you deserve it. Don't limit yourself to that. Don't limit yourself to one gender. Don't limit yourself to one ethnicity. Don't limit yourself to one region of the country. Don't limit yourself to one country. Don't limit yourself to one language. Don't limit yourself. Be all that God intended for you to be. Is that making sense? I mean, can I get a couple of hearts or something? Is that making sense at all? Be all that God intended you to be. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself to what men say, but make sure that you are embracing all that God has said for you. So let me give you an example. This might be hard to hear. So this has happened twice, but I'll give you one story. So I was at a customer's home, had been there a few different times. Great rapport. And older man and woman, a Caucasian couple. Great people, loved on me. They did a lot of business with me. I would go out to their home many, many times. So I noticed once, because I would be there, they trusted me so much that they would leave me in the home alone. And they would just say, hey, take care of it. We trust you. And so I'm in the home alone, and I'm like, hey, is it okay if I use the bathroom if I need to, since I'm going to be here for a little while? Of course. And I noticed something in the bathroom that I hadn't quite noticed before, right? I noticed something that I had not noticed before. Absolutely. I saw something in the wallpaper. This is the weirdest thing. It's wallpaper in the guest bathroom, right? The one that's downstairs in the hallway. And the wallpaper, don't know why this is there. I don't know why this, but it was of blackface. I can't think of the actual term for that. Maybe it'll come to me in a little while. But blackface, it was done back in the 30s and the 40s, where men would take some sort of black tar and put it on their faces, and they would do all of these things, and it would be, it was demoralizing, it was disrespectful, it was it was designed to make black people look bad. And so I'm seeing this this is the wallpaper now. Please understand, this is the wallpaper. And it could easily be, so let me answer this question. So you're like, was I offended by it? No. But it was offensive. Let me tell you why I wasn't offended. Why did I not embrace the offense? Why did I not allow it to come into my heart? Because I was there on a mission. And that, to be offended, hear me well, to be offended, you can't be offended and anointed at the same time. You can't be offended and highly skilled at the same time. You can't be offended and driven at the same time. Once you go offended, once you get offended, once your feelings are hurt, once you go emotional, then you lose your logical, linear ability to make a decision. So I'm looking at something that should be offensive, but I'm not offended by it. Why? Because I'm there on a mission. And to be offended was beside the point. I go in the bathroom on purpose. I come out of the bathroom on purpose. I do the job. I go on my merry way. Been there several times. I get a call several months later and I've been to her home several years. So she had been a customer of mine for a couple of years, her and her husband, for at least 3 or 4 years. And I got a call from a commercial building. And the commercial building it was 3 buildings, or actually it was 2 apartment complexes and a commercial building. And this is what they wanted. They had a nonprofit organization that was designed to help battered women. So everything was furnished. So whenever a guest, a tenant, would leave, whenever a battered woman got herself together and would leave, they had me to come in and do the mattresses, the sofas, all the chairs, anything that had material, I would go in there and clean it. This was a great contract for me, even though I was telling you about commercial contract. I was able to do this one during the day, and they paid me on time. So this was a great commercial contract for me. And it was also an opportunity for me to work 50% off. So I love doing 50% off for nonprofits. And I really believed in the mission of this particular organization. Well, guess who gave me the referral? Guess who founded the organization? Guess who had the funding and called me? Yes, the same woman who had the wallpaper that was offensive. What am I saying? What am I telling you? What I'm telling you is, if I had made a big stink of the wallpaper and it was offensive, I'm not trying to say it's not offensive. I'm simply trying to say you can't go emotional every time you see something that you don't like. You can't allow your emotions to lead you and guide you in every stretch of your imagination. And I see that happening more so than ever. I see people who are passionate about their opinions, but they've forgotten their mission. You forgot your mission. What happened to the gift, the purpose, and the call? What happened to the thing that God called you for? What have you forgotten that you were supposed to be on a mission? So you're saying something on the outside of you has changed your mission? No, it made it more difficult, but the mission remains the same. So I go into the bathroom on mission. I go into the bathroom on purpose. I come out of the bathroom on mission. I come out of her bathroom on purpose. And down the road, and when I tell you that turned into thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, I bet you that account paid me, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000. $40,000. Now watch this. Now many would say, okay, well, Brian, why would you do that work knowing that woman had that? Well, number one, I don't know why she had the news. It was certainly offensive. It definitely was tone deaf. And it certainly was something that maybe if I had the opportunity to have a conversation with her about it, I probably would. But the point is this. Is that conversation worth $40,000? Because the $40,000 came into my home. The $40,000 came into my business. The $40,000 allowed me to take care of my family. The thing that I said was important to me. The thing that I said I was supposed to be doing. You got to understand what I'm saying. The thing that I said I was supposed to do. If we say every dollar, if you say, and maybe I shouldn't say this, or maybe I should take my time and think about saying this. Maybe I should take my time. Yeah, I'll just use wisdom and not say that at all. But you've got to be mindful of, what am I saying? What am I saying? Let's go back to the point. The point is, refuse to live with a limited vision. I can't let other people dictate to me whether those people are for me or against me. Hear what I'm saying? Whether they are for me or against me, I can't let other people dictate to me how I'm supposed to distribute the gifts that God has entrusted to me. I can't let that be the case. And I'm saying to you, don't cast your nets too small. You can't allow someone to dictate to you how to run your business. You cannot allow. And when I say business, I also mean your life. Your life is your business. You can't allow someone to dictate to you who you are, who you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be around, what you're supposed to stand for, what you're supposed to fall for. Do not. So again, three big mistakes that I see in business are, and I'll recap really quick. Failing to solve the customer's real problem. Be accountable to yourself. Number 2. Knowing when to say no. You are a specialist and not a generalist. And point number 3. Refuse to live with a limited vision. Do not cast your nets too small. Your gift is for you. Your gift is what God entrusted to you. At the end of the day, God is going to hold you accountable for what God gave you. He's not going to, you can't, your mama and your sister and your cousin and the neighborhood and all the people who are putting pressure on you to think a certain way, believe a certain way, and move a certain way, those people would not be standing next to you at the moment when you are held accountable for the gifts that God has given you. So what I'm saying to you is this: don't make the mistake. Don't make the mistake of being limited by other people's opinion. My name is Brian Keith. I hope this has been helpful. It's kind of hard to have a one-way conversation. Maybe I'll answer a few questions on Instagram in just a little while if you happen to be on Instagram. But thank you for listening. I love you.